Hi, I'm Diana Lisa, and I received a comment from a subscriber after she watched Art Across the Pond, UK US Connection, a draw and chat episode that I recorded with my good friend Michelle Mold out in the UK. And she said she would like me to do some videos showing off all the supplies that I use, and she would appreciate any tips and what would like to watch me close up using them. Also, she mentioned she'd love to know more about neocolors. I thought what we would do is take a look at some of these materials, even though she didn't ask for some of the other materials here. I thought I would include them because in the episode that she's speaking of, I did use mainly these materials here. We're going to take a look at each one of those, and then I'm going to do a timed drawing challenge of 15 minutes using these materials. And I have one mystery material. If you stick around to the end, I'll reveal what that is. All right, let's start with Neocolor 2s. Okay, Neocolor 2s are a water-soluble wax pastel. This is the color dark olive. I love these guys, and let's take a look at what they can do. Neocolor 2, you can use them in a few ways. You can put down a block of color, and you can use a paintbrush dipped in water, or I'm using a water brush in this case. This is just a Pentel water brush. And I'm going to dilute and smudge that around. And you can see that pretty much all of it is dispersed there, sort of just like watercolor. And I even have a lot of paint on here on my brush, and I can keep going with that. Okay. The other thing you can do with the Neocolors is simply mark make and leave them alone. The problem with me and mark making anything that's water soluble is I tend to want to go in there and smooch it or smush it a little bit. I want to dissolve it, to speak, and keep going with it. And then you can drag it through as well. You can take that Neocolor back and go back through, say, the base that you laid there and make some new marks. Another thing you can do is take the water brush and rub it over the Neocolor, and you can put that down as paint as well. And as you can see, it's just as dark and as vibrant as when we put this one down here. You can use that as well if you don't want to make a mark. Okay, that was the Neocolor. Let's take a look at the Faber Castell Albert Durer watercolor marker. Here I have a watercolor marker. They are double tipped. There's a brush tip and a bullet point tip. Let's take a look at the brush tip first. I'm going to lay down some color here. I can take that same water brush and smush through that color, and you can see that it pretty much disperses all of it. You can see that there's a few marks, but not too many, not really. You could take this and use this for details. And use it for mark making. You could use it as a base as well. Sorry for that noise. Smooch that up. Drag some color out of there. You can go back over the top of that, wet, and make some additional marks. Doesn't work quite as well, but it does work pretty well. You can see that. I can do the same thing that I did with the Neocolor and go ahead and take the water brush onto the marker and use that. And you can see, like, look how light that is. It's just not coming out as much because I am wetting that. And if I even maybe just put, oops, I think I shouldn't have wet it much. Anyway, that's what that does. And now I'm afraid I messed up my marker or something. Okay, onward and upward. All right, now let's take a look at the ink tints. This is a Derwent ink tints pencil. again in light olive. And we can do the same thing. We can lay down a block of color. We can make some marks. Again, this is water soluble. And it'll do the same thing. This one is pretty intense. Ink tints are just like their name. They are intense. The color is intense. A lot of artists like these. I do like these as well. And you can go back through and pull out some marks or make some additional marks over it. And you can see how that's adding depth to that, if that was a layer of grass or brush. And you can do the same thing. Now, some people do dip their ink tints pencils in water. I don't do that because I don't want the little lead to fall out. I had this in my Peganol Sendak roll, and I think one of these sponges that I had that were wet from being out in plain air must have been resting on it. I don't know. And all the little tips fell out of the ones that were near here, and I don't want to take that chance. I don't do that, but that is an option, another way to work. This is the, oops, that was the, okay. Now we're on the Derwent Graphy tint. Skipped over a slide. Same thing. They're just a little bit different consistency. And you can see it disperses really well, very similar. I can do the same thing I did with the others. Oops, I just made a nice splash. This one, you can see that when you apply the paint on the page from the watercolor marker, it's a little bit different intensity than when you laid it down. Here, we'll do the same thing. And pull some marks through it. Now this one you can see that has a little bit more trouble going over when it's wet, but still same thing. Like you can see that we're building up a layer. That's actually really nice. Now, the other thing that was mentioned later on in the comment was a Fude pen. This is a Fude pen. This one is made by Tombow. We're going to try to get close up there. Not yet. Okay, let me move that. Well, let's just leave the close-up one. That's fine. I think it'll work. All right. This is a Fude pen. It is made by Tombow. This is double-tipped. It's categorized as a calligraphy pen. Fude just means bent nib. You've got the black nib on this side. And if you notice that when I press it, for calligraphy, you have thin ups, thick downs, thin up, thick down, up. Okay, my calligraphy is very rusty, but you get the point. Okay. Let's just go ahead and go hola, since we're at it. Okay, that's really bad. This one is, like I said, double, and there is a gray side. You could definitely use this in drawing and sketching. I don't very often, probably due to the fact that I just forgot that it was sitting there in a drawer, and it's not something I use a heck of a whole lot. However, this is not water soluble. If you wanted to use it for some details or maybe on part of the sketch that you don't want to move, you could use that for that. Those are all the materials. Now we can move forward. What I want to do is take these materials then and use them as I would in a timed drawing challenge. What Michelle and I did on our chat and draw was we set the timer for 20 minutes and drew from reference pictures. I do this in other Zoom Patreon sessions. And sometimes those times vary, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I have a lot of trouble illustrating or coming up with something in such a short amount of time. And I've practiced for months and months. And I'm not saying that I'm great at it or good at it. I'm just now coming into, oh, just use this. What it's really starting, and it should have started training me a long time ago, but what it is training me to do is just pick out parts of the reference picture that you want to illustrate, to portray. And that's what I'm going to do. Join me and let's put a timer on for 15 minutes and see what we can do with these materials. Okay, the clock has already started. I do have another close-up camera here, just because because the message said, I'd like to see how you use the materials up close. Not exactly sure if this was what the request was, but this is what I am doing. And that's where we are. All right, I'm using some Neocolor pastels to just put in some big shapes. And I'm probably spending too much time on this. That's okay. Probably get to some smushing here in a minute. I wanted to get some basic outlines of the water. Okay, does it? And then back here, there's more shadow of here and here. Okay, good. All right. And then now we can block in some green. I'll use Faber. Some here and some of the green. The trees poking out there. And maybe these green strands here. Chimney, because I know I'm going to end up smooching it. Probably do now. I actually recorded this sequence again a few minutes ago. Well, a couple hours ago. And realized that I did not record. So getting lots of practice on this. You would think it would come out super great, but it's going to come out the way it comes out. Okay. Now we just have like chunks of color here. And with all these materials, you don't necessarily have to apply water and smudge them out. It's just something that I do or I enjoy doing. And that's why I do it. Oops. Got green in there. What is getting annoying? Take that off. Let's see, how are we doing here? Move that over. I'm doing it again with green. I can get quiet because I'm, I guess, focusing on what I'm doing. Getting into the zone, I guess. Okay, I'm spending way too much time on that. All right, we can smooch out the sky, which I didn't have any rhyme or reason in the sky, just trying to get some in. See, I want to get green and sky to just, I can get straight away with strokes back and forth with this water brush. Okay. All right, for the most part, that is locked in colors. Now, I can take another Faber Castell and just put in another layer in the tree leaves. And also maybe here. Okay, I think I want to reserve that for using the pencils. Not crazy way that's coming out there. Okay, here, start with the shape. Let's get sorry, I've never tried to film before with a close-up phone camera, and it's on arm that's a little wobbly, I guess, to say the least. So I'm trying not to hit it. But once I get going, I don't think about it, and I tap it. And as you can see, okay, I'm not paying attention to the tongue like I should. All right. That's all going to probably get smoothed together. Dark down here. Okay, let's get this kind of smooched, and then I'll go for those trees in the very distance. Very distant. Okay. Okay, that's looking very splotchy and crooked, but that's okay. Right, I'm going to go in for some, I'm going to use the Graphitint Dark Indigo. Go in for some of these darks here. There's just some dark strands of reeds, grass. What are these called? I should look it up. And might as well put a little bit in here as shadow on the tree. Yeah, I like that. Okay, now let's go in for some, and we can probably smudge a little bit of that blue in the dark indigo because it is shadows. Well, maybe it's not shadows. Some of it is actually maybe darker reeds. Okay, we should stop that. All right. Okay, now the back is supposed to be lighter and it's reading kind of the same. When I am illustrating, not that I do that much in Adobe Fresco, I can put a black layer on top and change the blend mode to black. I mean, I can change a blend mode to color, and then I can see the contrast. Sometimes I wish I had a black film to put over my illustration. I think the answer is I'm supposed to squint. Yeah, it's all looking dark. push back the background. Okay. Just kind of making marks. And this is not the surprise material I was talking about, but I have been known to use a tiny bit of gelatos. That's a nice little other layer in the tree there. And the gelatos are water soluble as well. I can smooch those out, one leave a little bit. I always say I'm trying to leave it, but I do not deny so much. I'll try to leave some on the tree. Okay. Okay, so I mean the front is a little darker, but not a lot darker. But nevertheless, it's else back there. And I'm using another Inktense pencil. That's in the other direction. Veins, shadow. There's some shadowy patches here and a lot of dark here. Give me some. Okay, now this one that I'm putting in now, I won't go back in. I will leave it alone. Let's see if I do that. I think okay, right needs a little bit more. And then you could use the Neocolors for bigger marks. And you can do that in your foreground for emphasis. Make some bigger marks for where you want the viewer to look. All right, why are we struggling here? Okay. Maybe some branches in the tree. Let's see. Yeah, the tree comes over and then goes down here. And I'll probably leave those alone as well. A little gold into, or yellow ochre into the tree. Also put some white into that tree. Where to pretend the sun is shining on it. Also into the sky. Kind of extend out that sky without grabbing that blue again. Okay. This is quite light in the picture, kind of not paying attention to that. But there it is. All right. What to put in. Oh, I did say I would bring in a mystery. Let's go ahead and bring in the mystery material right now. And that is Poscas. Now, Poscas are not water soluble. Actually, this one. drying out a little bit. You can see it's just adding a layer a little bit darker at the bottoms. Cutting this in, and it's frayed, but that's working out well for yeah, definitely working out for the grass. The reeds. Feel free to correct me in the comments. Yeah, that definitely gives a little bit more authenticity to this. Okay. Oh Lord, we are not. Okay, I'm watching time because I've been known to not pay attention to that. 5, 4, E2. Okay, we're done. All right, let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at the results of 15 minutes. Right off the bat, I can tell like I don't have enough light colors here in the front. I can see a little bit of the color of the little tiny flowers or whatever I was trying to put in here. I like the Posca, what it did. I should have brought that in earlier, but I did go in too dark, too heavy on this in the beginning. I like the shades in the trees. The sky is fine with me. Even some of the lighter whites to indicate that the light was reflecting here off the water, and some of the darks here, but I needed to get a little bit more light in here and then maybe some strands of yellow or gold. That is that. What mixed media materials do you use in a time drawing challenge? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.